In the past, Gaius fights against a dragon and laments over the inadequacy of his first crest, and goes over the powers of the other 3 crests. It's then that Gaius casts a spell to reincarnate himself. Within the present day, Gaius is now a young adolescent boy going by the name of Matthias and has the crest that he always wanted, the 4th crest, as he rides on a wagon heading toward the capital. His goal is to take the examination in order to enter the academy there. En route to their destination, Matthias senses the presence of a calamity-ranked monster nearby. The wagon driver brushes Matthias' claim off, but when a big tiger-like beast confronts them, Matthias immediately deals with it, leaving the driver astonished. Arriving at the capital, Matthias enters a weapons shop where Alma begs the store owner to repair her friend's broken magical sword. Matthias overhears the conversation between the two, and he offers to enchant it for her. Alma's friend Luri arrives and Alma introduces Mati to her. Once the owner is finished with Luri's sword, Mati immediately enchants it, which surprises everyone with how fast he managed to do it. Right as Luri was about to try it out, she accidentally slices the table they were sitting at in half, astonishing everyone. On the day of the exam, Mati meets with Luri and Alma again. Luri manages to pass the fighting portion of the exam, and when it's Mati's turn, he faces off against Guile, captain of the Knight's Order. The two fight, and Mati easily wins because of the magical enhancements that he made to his sword during the fight. The next portion of the exam is a target practice, where participants need to cast fire arrows aimed at the 5 targets. Luri goes first, and with her first crest, she manages to hit all of the targets. For his part of the exam, Mati cast a fireball spell due to the limited range that the 4th crest has. The end result leaves a giant crater left in the center of the exam site. Afterward, now fitted with an academy outfit, Mati runs into Alma and Luri, with whom together they attend the opening ceremony. Headmaster Edward gives a brief speech, and after it requests that Mati head to his office once the ceremony is over. There he wants Mati's help. He wants him to become a teacher of chantless spell casting in preparation for the upcoming inter-school competition. Sometime later, Mati demonstrates his chantless spell casting in front of the academy students. By dusk, Alma demonstrates to Mati her newly learned chantless spell casting skills, and due to Luri running low on magic, Mati transfers some of his to her. This allows Luri to successfully cast a chantless spell to destroy a target. On the day of the inter-school competition, Mati senses a demon somewhere within the arena grounds. As it so happens, Mati faces off against the demon named Devilis, who was disguised as a human with a first crest along with his cohorts. Mati instantly finishes off the cohorts with a single spell and provokes Devilis to cast nearly a spell without chanting. Again, Mati provokes the demon by making him use chantless spells and deducing that the demons want to make human spells weaker. Using a spell breaker, Mati dispels Devilis' human disguise, and the newly exposed demon tries to escape only to be beaten by Mati before he's able to do it. While the students and some of the faculty surround the dead body of Devilis, Mati is hugged by Luri for beating the demon in disguise. Later at the royal castle, the king grants Mati's request for all rights to the possessions gained within the dungeon. Once that's settled with, the king asks for Mati's opinion on the disappearance of the 4 magical chosen ones. In Mati's opinion, if the demons believe that it's no longer necessary to masquerade themselves as humans, their next move would be mustering their forces for an all-out attack that would destroy the kingdom. Mati assures the king that what's needed is a barrier that would cover the entire kingdom to protect it. All that Mati needs to cast the barrier is a divine class artifact and the help from all second-year students to project a permanent barrier around the kingdom. The king appoints him the leader of the fight against the demons. Inside the castle treasure room, Mati finds a couple of old artifacts that he created in his previous life. Those artifacts are a magical sword and a pendant, which is a magical accessory that greatly increases the experience gained from battle. Later outside, Luri and Alma then approach Mati about what they heard from Edward concerning the barrier. Mati confirms it and claims that he'll be exploring a dungeon to collect the necessary items for him to accomplish it, and asks the two of them join him as a party to explore the dungeon with him. The group makes it to the dungeon, and there Mati fetches a tiny monster, and they use it as target practice to allow Luri to get the hang of her newly learned enchanted archery. The practice continues for a bit, and after Luri learns the basics of the thread-guided chant, she's tasked by Mati to kill 2 monsters with a single arrow. Along with Alma, Mati teaches her how to filter and compound the dungeon material or its ore into metal. By doing this, they gain mithril and iron clusters. On their way to the 10th floor, soon the group faces off against a killer dog, and thanks to the cooperative teamwork between Luri and Alma, they manage to kill it. Once the killer wolf was dealt with, Mati sets up camp and temporarily leaves the party to explore deeper parts of the dungeon. Down in one of the lower floors, Mati finds adamantite and gets interested by the presence of a boss monster on the floor below where he was currently. Following his interests, Mati goes down a floor and faces off against the boss monster, which is an arc serpent. The battle against it is tough, but Mati in the end wins against it. Upon returning to the two ladies, Mati shows them the corpse of the boss monster he defeated, which shocks them immensely. Mati, Luri, and Alma visit the local adventurers guild to turn in the goods they found during their time in the dungeon. Mati summons the severed head of the arc serpent from his inventory. Despite the receptionist claiming the guild doesn't have funds to buy what Mati's party provided, in the end, they still earn 750 gold. While walking back to the academy, Mati notices the presence of two powerful demons. Up in the sky, demons Ashril and Deshril plan on launching an attack on the Royal Academy. Wasting no time, Mati confronts the two demons and goes on the offensive. He manages to take control of the fire spell cast at him by Ashril with one of his magic control spheres and propels the spell back at Ashril. Furious that Mati attacked his master, Deshril tries to attack Mati, but is instead struck by a couple of arrows shot by Luri. The arrows have a waning power effect on Deshril, and he's then tasked by Ashril to deal with the girls while he deals with Mati. Alone with Mati, Ashril starts to cast a large spell that's great enough to destroy his control spheres, but Mati casts a small fireball at the spell's weak point to destroy it outright. As Mati gets the upper hand in the battle, Ashril tries to escape, but is stopped by the elusive control spheres that Mati scattered across the battleground. When Mati tries to attack Ashril again, he reveals the concealed spell-casting circle that he was cast protects him. The two continue skirmishing until Ashril decides to stop it then, and he's then encapsulated in what's called an occlusion orb. It manages to floor Ashril to the ground, and when he tries to cast a sacrificial spell to summon monsters, Mati cancels it out as well. Focusing on the girls' fight against Deshril, their tactics against him work greatly, and in the end, Mati steps in to help finish things off against the demon. The following day, Mati, Edward, Luri, and Alma are granted an audience with the king, who offers Mati another reward for his group's recent accomplishment. After carefully contemplating it over, Mati requests more dungeons and the king honors his request. Once that was settled with, Mati calls out the demon spies surreptitious watching their conversation. Because the demon refuses to reveal itself, Mati disrupts the magical visual feed cast to watch their conversation, making him scream in pain. The king recognizes the voice as Elhart, former captain of the Magic Order. Calculating the coordinates of the location where the spell was cast, Mati asks the king about the location. The king answers that it's a ruined village. Mati and the party then head to a dark and desolate location while Edward and the academy students prepare 1.5 tons of mithril in his absence in preparation for the barrier. Within the desolate location, the group finds a giant black dragon and Mati talks with it, revealing it to be an old acquaintance of his from his previous life named Iris. After Mati repairs Iris' tattered wings, Iris allows the party to ride on her back and rides at a slow enough speed so that they don't die in the process. Upon reaching the ruined village, Mati instantly deals with the demon stationed at the watchtower. Standing in front of a small tower, Mati felt the same magical presence that was in the castle. He notes that one is Elhart, who would pose a little threat, but the other would be more of a challenge. Suddenly, Iris crashes into the small tower because of her being out of practice for landing. Inside the small tower, Mati establishes a telepathic communication line with Luri and Alma. Furthermore, he gives Alma a casting circle as a way to go on the offensive. Within the next room, Mati tells the two to stay quiet as the enemy is using a concealment spell to hide their magical power and presence. Mati then unveils the demon's presence, who still believes he's still invisible to the group and is then shot in the forehead by Luri's thread chant arrow. The demon then attacks Mati as he instructs the girls to go on the offensive with enchanted arrows against the demon, who believes Mati to be an imposter. As the demon continues to attack Mati, enchanted arrows are shot into its back, causing his internal magical power to agglutinate. Left with no other alternative, the demon casts Disfortune, which transforms the demon into a bigger, bulkier form and gains tremendous power in exchange for the user's lifespan. The demon then tries to attack Luri and Alma, but what he attacked was an illusion made of magitoxins. Luri then finishes the demon off with an arrow at the demon's head, and Mati calls the demon by his name Elhart. Instructing Luri and Alma to ride on Iris while he takes care of the final demon, Mati prepares for the upcoming battle by crushing a few magistones to create a magical calamity. This causes the remaining demon to disperse from his mist state. The two briefly talk and then start the battle, where the demon gets the upper hand on Mati and cuts off his left arm. Confident in his position within the battle, the demon offers Mati a choice in how he'd like to die, but Mati, after analyzing the situation, reattaches his arm, which surprises the demon. He then cuts the demon's right wrist with his sword laced with some magitoxin believed to be the same kind used on Elhart. Backed into a corner, the demon casts Magic Circuit Overload, a more advanced spell than the one Elhart used on himself. Once the spell is cast, the demon shrouds the area in mist while concealing his presence, but Ma-Ti easily cancels it out. Ma-Ti also reveals that the substance used on him earlier wasn't the same toxin used on Elhart, but one that draws an excess magic to the afflicted's body, causing it to explode. What's left behind after the demon explodes is a giant Magistone. Riding on Iris back again, the group head back to the capital. Since Iris is capable of casting a human transformation spell, Ma-Ti suggests that she join the academy. That night, the group, now with Iris, turn in the spoils from their demon hunt to Edward, who praises Ma-Ti for his good work. Ma-Ti then asks to have Iris transfer into the school, and Edward allows it so long as she passes the entrance exam fashion test within a 47 to 50 range. Although Ma-Ti agrees to the condition, he asks to be present during the exam to make sure that Iris is able to control her magical output during it. On the day of the exam, Iris flops on the written part. On the sword battle part, she knocks her opponent into the roof tower. This makes Edward question if she's a normal girl or not. Finally, in the magic casting section, Iris casts a couple of spells that backfire, and the final spell she casts destroys the entire magical target ground. In the end, however, Iris passes the exam. In the dungeon where the students of the Second Royal Academy excavate the place, Ma-Ti gets an update of the current situation from Edward. As it turns out, the most efficient crest for the task is the Crest of Glory. Ma-Ti then asks if it's possible to ask the First Royal Academy to enlist some of its students to help their cause. Although Edward is conscious of the relationship with said academy, he says that he'll honor it for the sake of the mission and will have the king intervene. Eventually, Facus, the head of the First Royal Academy, abruptly enters Edward's room and chastises him for summoning him. Edward requests Facus help to erect a barrier around the kingdom to protect it from the oncoming demon invaders. Of course, Facus refuses, hence Ma-Ti proposes a competition to settle the matter, and Facus agrees to it on the condition that Ma-Ti and his party don't participate in it, calling him a monster. Despite Edward's hesitance, Ma-Ti agrees to it, and Facus sets the competition to be in 2 days' time. On the day of the competition, the large number of First Royal Academy faces off against the Second Royal Academy's mere 5 students. The students' crests were comprised of ones with the second, third, and fourth crests. At the start of the battle, the First Academy all start the incantation for Fire Arrow, only for the Second Academy students to surprise them with wordless casting, easily winning the match. The king orders the First Academy students to work with the Second Royal Academy and receive chantless magic lessons. Later, Ma-Ti is accompanied by Iris, Alma, and Luri while exploring the deeper caverns of the dungeon. Their goal in the dungeons is to get a Magistone that is 60 centimeters in size. The girls then face off against some dungeon monsters as Ma-Ti evaluates them and notes how poor Iris' control over her strength is. With an adequate-sized Magistone, Ma-Ti has Luri cast a casting circle around it and receives some help from Ma-Ti. Once completed, Ma-Ti has Iris infuse it with some magic, but she infuses too much into it, causing a giant dragon to be summoned. Following Ma-Ti's orders, Iris disparages the dragon and keeps it distracted long enough for Luri to enchant an arrow and almost shoot it at the dragon. This proves futile as the dragon continues to go on a rampage, but Ma-Ti insists that they continue as he sets up more casting circles. In a pinch, Iris rescues Alma and Luri the moment the dragon tries to attack them by punching the dragon away from them. The end result of the battle is that Iris provokes the dragon to cast a breath spell and Ma-Ti captures it, so he can reflect it back at it. It nearly fails due to Iris falling into a body-shaped pitfall she created, and he uses a barrier to protect her, leaving him exposed to the spell's explosion. However, Ma-Ti makes it out unscathed, and after Iris fetches the Magistone, he offers her to officially join the party. Even though it's official that Iris is now part of Ma-Ti's party, he has Iris train in the ruined training ground to get used to her new human body. Ma-Ti then has the party try out their new weapons that Luri created for them. Luri creates a new sword for herself, Alma a new bow, and Iris a new spear. With everything going smoothly with Ma-Ti's plans, he notes that he'll be leaving the Second Royal Academy soon enough. Edward gives a formal speech to the students at the Second Royal Academy students concerning Ma-Ti casting the barrier over the kingdom. It's thereby the students' job to protect the capital by engaging against the invading monsters and demons. Meanwhile, the remaining students help Ma-Ti clear out the dungeon for resources, and Alma and Luri report that the demon's presence has been detected. Ma-Ti figures that what they were detecting was the demons using a spell called Magirode and asks that they take care of it. Following the lead of an unnamed student, they reach their destination. After imbuing the arrows with her magic, Luri gives them to Alma. Just then, a single demon exits from the Magirode portal and Alma kills it with a single arrow. Another demon then appears and the arrow shot was not enough, hence, Luri finishes it off with her sword. Elated that they managed to successfully complete a dispatch for the first time together, they then sense a surge of energy from the capital. Returning to Mati, he assures the two that everything is fine and explains that what they felt was a spell more advanced than Majuro that requires a sacrifice in order to complete. Before the new onslaught of demons arrives, Mati has the two girls head back to the surface and prepare for the arrival of the demons. Iris then appears and drops off 40 boxes of mithril for Mati. Outside, Luri and Alma meet with Edward, and he informs them that Mati left them an abundance of magistones. They figure it's for casting circles, so Luri doesn't have to worry about messing up. At that moment, a single demon appears and after assessing the situation, casts a spell at the students there only for it to be blocked by one of Mati's spells that he cast earlier. Under Edward's orders, a couple of students cast spells that are unable to reach the demon, so Alma shots an arrow at it, which the demon catches and breaks. With Luri's hands full with enchanting arrows with a complex casting circle, Edward and the entire student body try to buy time for Luri by empowering the defensive spell that Mati cast. Finally able to create an imbued arrow, Luri gives it to Alma and she shoots it at the demon who dodges it. However, Alma redirects the arrow's direction and it lands the demon's heart, and then some students then cast fireballs at it to finish it off. Their victory over the demon was ephemeral as another demon appears to cast an even more potent spell. Mati appears and handily defeats all of the demons. Mati, Alma, and Luri then go to the barrier crystal area, and Mati then inserts a magistone piece into the crystal which erects a barrier around the city. Although the barrier has been cast, Mati warns that it's not over yet as the demons they defeated will empower the dragon vein they encountered before. All of that will cause a larger horde of monsters to appear. An oncoming stampede of monsters could be seen over the horizon and are dealt with by the combined efforts of Mati's traps laid across the battlefield and the students' barrage of spells. 3 giant monsters then appear on the field and Luri, Alma, and Iris deal with them. A monster known as the Void Eater appears and starts to devour the remaining monsters around the field, and Mati gives Luri a casting circle to enchant and throw into the monster. Once the monster's evolution is complete, through the combined efforts of Mati, Iris, Luri, and Alma, they defeat the monster. Eventually, Mati reports to Edward that he plans on leaving the academy to search for more dragon veins scattered across the land. When they're all prepared for their journey, the group are seen off by Edward and their student peers. Mati and his party walk down a pathway leading out of the capital and head to the Melkia dungeon. By dusk, the group reaches their destination, Melkia. Inside of the city, they're warned by a merchant to stay away from lamppost as it's known to explode. The group learns from the merchant that the new lord forbids using magistones to power the magic lampposts. Mati then asks if the town's populace is so low because of the lord, and the merchant confirms it, noting that there is a powerful monster on the 10th floor dungeon. They then head to the Adventurers Guild to get permits to be allowed to investigate the dungeon. However, they're told by the guild receptionist they need the approval from the lord to get the permits. Just then, another receptionist barges through the entrance of the guild and asks if there's anyone who knows of any healing spells, as there's a bunch of injured adventurers. Mati then volunteers himself and the group is led to the local church. The group manages to heal all of the injured people. From the head healer, Mati learns of how the previous lord was replaced by a new incompetent lord. Deducing that the current lord could be a demon, Mati plans on eventually meeting with the lord. In their room at an inn, Mati composes a letter to Edward, and with their newly granted permits, it's decided to investigate the dungeon the following day. The next day, sometime after they enter the dungeon, they report their successful subjugation of the 10th floor monster and are told by the receptionist they'll be paid at a later time. This is because the lord needs to confirm it, who later receives a letter about it and grows interested in the party. At a restaurant, the group eats some dinner and Mati notices that a table not too far from them has their eyes on them. On their way back to the inn, Mati telepathically tells the girls to stay calm and warns them that they're being tailed by the lord's henchmen. One of them captures Mati in a chain rope and threatens to kill him if they don't do what he says. Calling out to Iris, Mati asks her to use no weapons against them, and Iris then proceeds to defeat the men without her weapons. Once the men are all defeated, Mati casts a tracking and demon-sensing spell onto the men. The following day, the group awakens in their room at the inn, and Mati informs the group that they received a message from the king. Later, the group meets with Ake, the king's messenger, in one of the mine's tunnels. He informs the group of the king's response to Mati's report that Lord Melkia is to be arrested for his exploration of the mines. Furthermore, Mati is able to perform the arrest himself under the supervision of Ake. Mati agrees to these terms, and Alma, Iris, and Luri agree to help. Revealing the location of the Lord, Ake notes how heavily guarded it is, but Mati is confident that they'll be able to handle it. At the manor where the Lord resided, there were no guards stationed outside, but Mati's magic reveals that the inside of the place is heavily guarded. Charging into the manor, the men inside attack the group with a bombardment of spells, but Luri's barrier protects the group. Ma-Ti then counterattacks with a lightning spell that kills all of the men there. Following Ma-Ti's leave, the group locates the Lord in a hidden basement. Lord Melkia then summons a swarm of men to attack Ma-Ti, who handily defeats them all with a fire spell. Ma-Ti then knocks out Melkia with a snap of his fingers, and Ake promises to take the unconscious Melkia to the king for interrogation. Ma-Ti and his party stay in the town to investigate how Melkia and his men were privy to the investigation into the corruption in the city. Ma-Ti then shows Ake a burnt piece of paper about the investigation. Using his magic to scan it, Ma-Ti believes the culprit is a demon. Before Ake is able to leave to report this finding to the king, the ground starts to tremor, and Ma-Ti deduces that the demons have already begun endowing their magic into the vein. Figuring they only have 2 hours until a monster horde reaches and decimates the town, Ma-Ti and the group head into the dungeon. Upon reaching the dungeon, the group notices that no demons are around, and Ma-Ti believes that they've headed into the deeper levels to lay a trap for them. As Ma-Ti deals with the monsters on his way down to the lower level of the dungeon, he keeps an open communication channel with Luri. Confronting the demon, Ma-Ti magically wiretaps into its communication channel with another demon and learns that the demon on the other side is aware of Ma-Ti's plans. Once their conversation is over, Ma-Ti attacks the demon with his magically amplified sword, but the demon manages to block the attack with its own barrier spell. Wary of the type of barrier used to deflect his attack, Ma-Ti hears the demon boss instruct the demon there to use tactics designed to deal with someone with a crest of failure. Noting that the demon is stronger than any other demon that he's faced to that point, Ma-Ti contacts Luri to prepare casting circles 14 and 17. The battle between the two then continues as the demon unleashes long-range attacks against Ma-Ti, who hopes to get a clue to the demon boss's identity. After dodging the demon's attacks, Ma-Ti learns from the demon's communication with its boss that they plan on using the trap against him. In retaliation, Ma-Ti has Luri activate the casting circle 14 to nullify the trap's power, and then the 17th to disrupt the demon's communication channel. Ma-Ti then exploits the weakness in the barrier that was protecting the demon. The demon, now able to communicate with their boss again, informs him that he really may be the reincarnation of Gaius. However, the demon boss refutes that notion and orders him to use Disfortune, but despite this, Ma-Ti still defeats the demon by decapitating it. With the demon destroyed, Ma-Ti claims that the monster horde outside is disappearing, and both Iris and Alma have dealt with the monsters on their side. Trying to track down the boss demon's location, Ma-Ti is surprised to learn that it hacked into his own communication channel as well. After a brief back and forth with the demon, it cuts off communication with Ma-Ti, who looks forward to facing off against it. Eventually, the group reaches the Second Royal Academy and is surprised to see that the academy was being rebuilt. In a log cabin, which is a makeshift office for Edward, Ma-Ti fully elaborates the situation about the demon in the mine and their plans to track down the mastermind located across the border. Edward then asks where their destination is. Ma-Ti answers the Radina Alliance and asks for his and the king's cooperation. Arriving in the Radina Alliance city, the group first head to the guild there and are warmly greeted by the guild master, who heard from the king about their mission. Hearing the circumstances further from Ma-Ti and the party, the guild master allows Ma-Ti and his crew to take the rank A ascension test, which would be conducted by a guild proctor. However, the person that the guild master wanted was unable to perform, and S-rank guild member Giluish shows up to take their place. Despite the guild master's pleas, Giluish arrogantly insists that he perform the duty, and Ma-Ti allows it. Outside in the guild training grounds, Giluish passes Alma, Luri, and Iris off the bat, but challenges Ma-Ti to a duel. Figuring this was Giluish's plan from the start, Ma-Ti accepts the proposal, and the duel rules are set that the battle is over when one concedes defeat. Giluish also notes that he doesn't use magic despite having great magical potential, and perhaps unconsciously using enhancement magic on himself. At the start of the battle, Ma-Ti uses enhancement magic on himself as well and matches Giluish blow for blow, while analyzing his fighting skills, capabilities, and using magic unconsciously. Amid the battle, Giluish mimics a move that Ma-Ti used during the battle to get an aerial advantage on Ma-Ti, but it's still not enough. In the end, Ma-Ti uses a bit of enhancement magic on himself to overpower Giluish and make him concede defeat. Being seen off by Giluish, Ma-Ti declines to try to become an S-ranked adventurer and explains that their goal is simply to enter a highly restricted area. The place is in the Folkia region, and Ellis notes he's heard the place has a weird vibe to it along with a myriad of other things. He offers his help and Ma-Ti accepts it. Later, the group arrive at the checkpoint and are given a wooden pass by one of the guards that grant them access through the gate. Reaching their destination, Luri immediately senses, although faint, roughly 30 demonic presences all across the city. Mati claims that the feeling is weak due to a concealment spell that's cast around the city. Finding a secret entryway leading to an underground tunnelway into the city, and the group enters it. Sensing the presence of a demi-demon ahead, Mati phases through the wall and uses his magic to temporarily blind its senses with a stupefy spell, allowing the group to pass by it undetected. Hoping to learn more about the demons and their plans, they infiltrate a factory. Inside of the building, the group finds that the people working there are putting a special ore called Reincarnated magical ore into the furnaces there. Mati concludes that the demons are doing this to refine the ore so that it could be made into explosives. In his opinion, Mati states that a ton of the ores of 100 purity could blow up an entire kingdom. Despite it would take 100 years to accomplish, the demons' goal is all too clear. Outside of the factory, it's decided that the group must eliminate the demons controlling the city so they can save the people there. Creating a large pillar of light within the city, the demons instantly are alerted by this and are ordered by the head demi-demon to investigate the area. While the demons encircle the location of the pillar of light, their numbers start to dwindle as Mati and his group deal with them. A brief flashback of Mati's plan is shown where Iris was the center of the pillar of light as a way to lure the demons away from the center of town. The use of Magistones as makeshift bombs against the demons was Mati's plan to have misinformation spread via the demi-demons' shared consciousness. This was to make them think traps were spread across the city and the demi-demons take the bait. The head demi-demon investigates the body of a recently deceased demi-demon. It then informs the remaining demi-demons that it sensed the presence of two people, and that the demi-demon there wasn't killed by a trap but by a sword. The demi-demons then change their strategy to consolidate in one location, and Mati figures the demons have figured out that there are no traps. The head demi-demon then instructs the remaining demons to use the Magistones to blow up the city as a desperate attempt to eliminate their foes. However, before they could even make a move, Giluis appears to eliminate the demi-demons and the head demi-demon. On the other hand, Mati, with a bit of help from Iris, eliminates the remaining demi-demons, leaving Giluis to face off against the head demi-demon. After a strenuous battle against the head demi-demon, Giluis wins. Unbeknownst to the group, the head demi-demon was down but not defeated. The demon that Giluis defeated regains consciousness and tries to attack Luri and Alma, but Mati steps in its way to block the attack. Astounded by this outcome, the defeated demon acts as a proxy for the mastermind demon to relay a message to Mati, revealing it'll soon destroy its seal and completely revive. Its host demon then disintegrates into dust, and Mati deduces that the demon Mati talked to within the dungeon was the mastermind behind the demon city as well. Just then, Giluis asks for help and Mati heals him, and both Luri and Alma notice that with the demons defeated, all of the town residents have been freed from their thought paralysis spell. Hence, Giluis uses his authority to take control of the situation and appoints the factory foreman as the provisional lord of the city. At the front gate of the city, Giluis gives Mati a permit to enter Fulki's restricted area, and with that the group parts ways with him. Arriving at their destination, Mati opens up the entryway and leaps into the pit below to enter the ruins. Once everyone was inside of said ruins, Mati splits the group up to find any weapons. With everyone gone, Mati starts to power the ruins' core until Luri returns with a sword that he created in his previous life. Alma then returns with a heavy spear she thought would be good for Iris to use. However, Mati admonishes the idea due to the spear's magical properties. The ruins' core is now fully charged, and it's used to track the mastermind demon's location with the help of a part from the factory. It's also deduced that the demon's plan is to wipe out humanity as a whole. After they use a Magistone to help detect and get more information on the demon's location and other information. They learn from Mati the demon's name is Zardias, and that at their current strength, they're unable to beat it. Using the sword that Luri brought, Mati uses it as a way to search for other magical items that would help them in their endeavor against the demon. Specifically, Mati was looking for a certain sword, and as it so happens, it was in the kingdom of Ace. En route to the kingdom, while riding on Iris's back, Mati gives Luri and Alma Magistones to locate the sword. An outburst of power felt by the group then leads Mati to conclude that Zardia's seal was broken. Mati then orders Luri and Alma to search for the sword while he deals with Zardias, and the two then head for the kingdom's treasury to retrieve the sword. Mati then prepares for the upcoming fight by enchanting his sword and hopes to seal the space Zardias was going to use to teleport to him as a way to either buy time or even damage him. The moment Zardia's portal opens up, Mati tries to seal it, but fails. Hence, Iris is asked to use her dragon fire breath against him, but the attack was also ineffective against him. Wasting no time, Zardias pulls out a sword and with a single slash attacks Iris. Mati uses multiple barriers to try and protect Iris, who dodges the attack just in the nick of time. Zardias then attacks and overpowers Mati, who admits he's the most powerful demon he's faced up to that point. Meanwhile, Luri and Alma reach the treasure. The king appears and allows the two entry into the treasury. Back outside, Mati struggles to defend against Zardia's attacks and realizes that in order to win the fight, he'll have to give up his life. As Luri and Alma find the sword in the treasury that Mati needed to face off against Zardia's, Mati struggles to fight against Zardia's, who is fully aware of Mati's plans and hints that he already has subordinates already inside the city's barrier. This is proven to be true as both Ashril and Deshril are shown to have been revived by Zardias. Although Deshril was beaten, Ashril has two student hostages and demands that the two surrender and hand over the treasure they recovered. Zardias tries to attack the barrier surrounding the city. Despite his attempts to deflect the magical attacks from Zardias, the demon deflects one attack onto Iris, who is protected by another barrier erected by Mati. This leaves an opening for Zardias to attack Mati, who is unable to protect himself against the attack. Zardias then taunts Mati to ditch trying to protect the city and fully concentrate on facing off against him. Meanwhile, Luri and Alma continue to face off against Ashril and lay down their weapons, while Mati contemplates his options and decides to enchant his sword and attack Zardias. Just before Ashril could take Luri and Alma's weapons, Edward, accompanied by a group of students, intervene in the scene, allowing the girls to counterattack. The students then bind Ashril in a magical ring, allowing the girls to try and deliver the sword to Mati. On the other hand, Mati uses Iris as a feint to get a sneak attack on Zardias, but the plan fails. Iris lands down on the city below and Alma throws Mati the sword that he wanted, but this allows Zardias to fatally stab him in the back. However, the sword's special ability revives Mati and infuses him with an immense amount of magical power. With this new power, Mati defeats Zardias, who warns Mati of another chaos demon out there that will surely defeat him and then disintegrates. On the ground, Mati is embraced by Luri and is soon joined by Alma, Iris, Edward, and the students that accompany him. After offering to rebuild the broken parts of the city, Mati uses up the remaining power in his sword and in the process creates a giant hole in a mountain. Time passes by and Mati, nearly fully recovered, is visited by Iris, Luri, and Alma in his room. They, along with Edward, then visit the king, whom they thank for allowing them to use the treasury again. The king in turn thanks them for slaying Zardias and rewards them with the sword that was from the treasury and another treasure from the treasury. Outside of the company, Edward warns the group of an emergency situation. They all then are briefed about the situation by Guile about a wooden puppet that was retrieved which originated from the neighboring country of Seal. From Mati's deduction, it was powered by human energy and is most likely was created by demons. With the belief that Seal is under demon control, Guile asks that Mati travel to Cyril and deal with the demon problem. The following day, Mati and the group are seen off by Edward and Guile before they head to Sihil. En route to their destination, Mati briefly reflects on what Zardias told him about the other chaos demons out there. However, he's not discouraged by what's ahead and hopes to continue the adventure.